So I've gone on officially my third date since I've been home from the Marine Corps. And for context, I've been off active duty for almost 2 years. So, not a good numbers ratio, all things considered. And it was not from a lack of trying. I do mean that. And I think this lady had a not premeditated goal in mind, but once we met up in person, I think she decided she would just try and take advantage of me and use me for her own purposes until she wasn't able to anymore. She got me to spend an uncomfortable amount of money on her. And at first it was just small things, but it just kept escalating and escalating and escalating, and I just didn't want to see it. I tried originally just saying, hey, let's meet up for coffee, and she immediately went down, I think, a rabbit of emotional manipulation where she started to cry on the phone and make statements, and it just, The sad thing is I really wanted to meet with this gal, and I really did enjoy a lot of the things that we did. I really did. And I found out that I think she somehow attached my debit card to her Cash App, and she tried to make multiple unauthorized transactions attached to my debit card. And I simply tried asking her about it, And I think she realized that there was nothing she could have said to dissuade from that fact, and she basically just ghosted me. I drove 250 miles out of my way to meet with this woman, and now she's gone. I had to get a new debit card, obviously. All I can say about this, and all I will say about this, is that I'm tired. I am actually tired. I just want to wake up next to somebody in the morning every day, and know that they actually like me and want me. I guess I understand if you have expectations on money and you have expectations on quality of living. I get that. You can be upfront about it, we can talk about it, like adults, and if the amount of money I have just isn't enough for you, that's okay. We can go our separate ways. That's why you don't jump the gun on any relationship. You just you start out with a couple of dates, and you get to know each other, and you find out what's important to you. And I just feel betrayed. Not even necessarily by this lady, because I understand that this lady is the product of the system, and I understand that she's probably one out of a million, one out of millions who have these problems. She has access to my YouTube channel. I doubt she's going to look it up, because I think wholeheartedly that she was just interested in my wallet. And all things considered, I'm thankful for the experience. I've learned my lesson, and now I just need to figure out how not to be cynical and bitter, because that helps no one. It's easy to be a cynic. That's the lazy way to go through life, just to be a cynic and to hate everything, and to say everything's shallow and terrible. I fundamentally do not believe that, though I feel it often. My bones feel it. But regardless, I'm just going to go ahead and take this in stride and do what I can and just maybe things will get better later on. But if not, I'm still thankful. I'm still thankful to God, Jesus. I'm referring to Jesus, of course. Thankful to him. I just had a conversation with him, and I haven't had one with him in a while. I just picked up my dog. She had to get a whole bunch of teeth removed from dental issues, and that I think was mainly caused by the kibble, you know. And she's a small dog too, which just makes it worse for her. And she's a little older. She's 7.5 years old, and you know, it's no fun having to deal with these things. Life just keeps on, you know, giving you another thing to deal with, and it does get pretty tiring, but I still got some steam in my body. I still got some air in my lungs and strength in my legs. I went to go see the doctor recently for my back. I probably am gonna have to go back and say, hey, I need a more, you know, thorough, you know, look at my back, because it's not right. There's something wrong with it. Even if I can't articulate it correctly, it's been going on for over a year now since I've been having back problems, and I'm 90% convinced it's connected to when I was enlisted, because when I was enlisted, standing for hours a day with several dozens of pounds of gear attached to your body in a non-dynamic environment, i.e. you're not like walking or hiking or walking or moving, you're just standing, that just tears down. I feel like it just tears down your joints. I feel like it makes you have a higher predisposition to sedentary injuries, you know. And then if I wasn't standing post, I'd be sitting in a cramped, tiny little car with, again, lots of gear that takes up lots of space and in an awkward angle, and I would do that for several hours, and it would accumulate throughout the day. But I never went to medical when I was enlisted for that. I went to medical for other things, you know, like my shoulders and ankles, but never for my back, because it felt manageable at the time, and it no longer feels manageable. Like, even right now, as I'm sitting in this car, it kind of hurts, and I have to like sort of brace myself just to keep it from hurting. And like, I didn't have these problems before I enlisted. That's all I know. But yeah, don't really have any words of wisdom. Just talking and venting about life. That's all you can do sometimes. Cheers.